Well, today's episode, I believe, is going to be a bit of a longer one because we're going to be reviewing five different wrestling shows from five different wrestling promotions. The first one, finally, Stardom put something new on the Stardom world. This one is from their Toki event on the 12th of March, 2 days after their Korakuen Hall day. We're also going to be reviewing DDT Pro Wrestling. Finally, for a long while, I haven't seen one. This is from their Judgement Day on the 21st in Korakuen Hall. It features some championship matches, some special matches. We even got MLW's much recent event, the Underground. We have only two matches, but they're all title matches. The MLW World Heavyweight title is on the line between Jacob Fatu and Hammerstone. And of course, we got the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship also on the line between Taya Valkyrie and Billy Starks. And then, of course, we have ChocoPro returning for their next season with 301. We only have three interesting matches that took place. And then finally, AEW Dynamite. We have that special match that we've been waiting for, Kenny Omega versus Vikingo. And we got plenty other things that took place. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, let's begin with Stardom, and finally we get to do one because, as you know, there's been some complaints by many Stardom fans because the Stardom World did not upload any new stuff. As you know, they were about maybe a week behind or so on their, as you know, when the Stardom events happen, it takes maybe a couple of days so they can add the translation in English. Well, they haven't done nothing like that for almost a week, but finally they do have that. Their show took place in Toki, and this was on the 12th of March, which was, of course, 2 days after their event in Korakuen Hall. Now, our opening match, we have Miyu Amasaki, the Supernova, taking on Mirai. Now, you probably can. I think this match was a very interesting challenge for Amasaki, who has been known as the Supernova, but she is no match for the much stronger, capable Mirai when she applied a jumping lariat to put her away to pick up the W. Next match, we got Yuna Mizumori taking on Momo Kogo. As you know, Momo is a good, capable wrestler, but she's having a hard time trying to pick up a good win, especially if she has to go up against someone who's a much more bigger competitor. We're talking about Yuna Mizumori when she applied the Tropical Smasher to put her away and giving her a really good win. However, Momo doesn't seem happy that she lost in this fashion, but that's how it goes. So I'm sure Momo will try to get revenge on that at some other point. But Yuna Mizumori actually picked up the win. Our next match, we have a three-way tag match. First, no, scratch that. That's the wrong one. Our next match is just a straight-up tag team match. We have Club Venus, consistent of Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa, taking on the members of Stars, more specifically Wingori, Hanan, and Sayaida. As you know, Mina is been growing and growing and more as possible. But of course, the popularity of Club Venus has always been very, very impressive and intrigued because ever since this duo show up. But I figured this match was going to fall in favor to Mina because we know that there's moments that she does take the victory either by applying the figure four or the, the glorious Mina driver. And the glamorous Mina driver. I think that's the one. But however, it was the figure four leg lock on Hanan to put it away. Now Hanan tried to escape, but it was no use. Next up, now is the three-way tag match. Now we're in that one. We have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka and Natsuko Tora, or as we know them as BMI 2000. They take on the former tag champions Meltier, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano, and then of course God's Eye, Ami Sudi, and Sudi. Now you probably can guess this match was going to be a very interesting one. There was a moment where Natsupoi got kicked, striked in the back of her back by a leg strike by Sudi, but as always when it comes to Oda Tai involved in their matches, they like to cheat cut corners. Ruka used a box, which was a very unusual because the ref kind of had his own discretion, but when he saw that the lead pipe was brought upon and tried to choke the living life out of Meltier, the referee called the match, disqualified um, Ruka and Natsuko Tora, giving the match to Meltier. So basically, they won by disqualification. I'm sure that they're not satisfied with the win, but at least they got the win. Next up, we got a eight woman tag match. First, we have Queen's Quest, consistent of Lady C, Utami Ayashida, Azumi, and Sayaka Mitani taking on DDM's Mai Sakurai, Himeka, Maika, and Julia. Now, keep in mind, we're still on the Himeka retirement road. This was a very interesting match because, as you know, there was several moments I did see like they all tried to pick on Lady C because ever since then they've been trying to get Lady C to join DDM, but Lady C picks her own path and she chose to stay with Queen's Quest because that's always been what she wanted. But there was an interesting moment where Mai Sakurai was on top of the turnbuckle and Lady C kicked her out, but we weren't sure from what happened because she might have hit her head or her neck on the apron. There was concerns when they checked up on her, but she was able to continue. Lady C actually put her in a choke slam, giving what's her name, Sayaka Mitani, time to apply the Star Crusher and to give her the win. So it was a very impressive win. I'm not sure if the idea was for DDM to win, but it is what it is. Now our next match, our main event is Oedo Tai, consistent of Momo Watanabe, a Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima taking on Stars, Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. As you know, we always seen the rivalry between Stars and Oedo Tai always keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth every single time. But however, in this case, it was Starlight Kid with the Black Tiger driver onto Koguma to pick up the win. But however, in the post-match comments for the closing show, Starlight Kid recalled that their Stardom will be heading to Maya Iwatani's hometown and claims that they will win that match and conquer, claim Mayo's hometown as their own. So we'll wait till that day happens until we see it. But like I said, we are a bit Stardom World are possibly a week behind, on a week and a half, or I don't know how long they are behind, but we'll get to that as soon as possible. But for now, we'll just end it right here and move on with DDT Pro Wrestling. All right, DDT Pro Wrestling with Judgement. This one took place on the 21st of March in Korakuen Hall, which was, of course, my brother's birthday. But even though it happened in Japan, finally I get to see one of the DDT events. Uh, it's been a while, but however, this is one of the longest shows, about what, 5 hours? You probably say, J Rod, this is crazy, 5 hours. Well, it's worth it because there were some really good matches. Now, let's talk about our pre-show they had in this one. I did mention this before about the DDT graduation on this one. They features a tag match with El Unicorn with Imai, no, Raimu Imai. I don't know who that guy is. They take on Manitatsu Nakamura, who we've seen on Gambare Pro. He teams up with Illusion. Now, this match ended with Illusion picking up the win onto Unicorn with I don't know if it's like an underhook suplex or whatever it was, but it was a pretty impressive win until Shinjiro Tagagi, the boss of DDT, shows up, telling them that they're graduating. Now, those who are not familiarized with DDT, these are the younger wrestlers who are in training. Their idea is that they wear these masks, and once they graduate, they have the option either to remove their mask or leave them on. El Unicorn removed his mask, and he's revealed to be a guy named Uni. As for Illusion, he decided to keep his mask. So basically, we will be seeing them regularly on their regular DDT shows. Now we opened up with our main card. We have um, Kazuma Sumi and Toi Kojima taking on Yuki Ishida and Yuya Koroku. Pretty impressive match on this one. These are the much lesser experienced wrestlers, but it was a pretty interesting one. But it was, of course, Koroku with no, what was it? Koroku? Yeah, it was Koroku with an impressive armbar. I don't onto what's his name on Sumi, and it was impressive. Like, he grabbed an armbar, but he was trying to move the wrist around, try to see if he can get anything to make him submit as possible, but he did. I thought that was pretty impressive what he did on that. So, not bad. Next up, we got Soma Tokoa and Kusuke Ishii. They take on Yoshihiko and Kazuki Irada. I thought this match was a lot of fun because if you guys ever seen Yoshihiko, he's that big doll guy that people like to wrestle with. I thought it was a real fun one. I had to enjoy a good laugh, but however, in this in this one, it was a driver on Irada by Ishii that picked up the win. But nothing less, it was a lot of fun. Now our next match is a title match that was vacant not too long ago. This is the 040 Championship. Now those who don't know what this title is, I'll explain it to you. The 040 is a belt that is like if you're above 40 years of age. Yes, folks, you can say this is more like the old timers belt in some capacity. So it was vacant by Toru Owashi. The reason he vacated was because he wanted to focus on his match against Iguchi, who was at the time the KOD openweight champion, but eventually he lost. I don't know why Toru Owashi never considered getting this belt back, but it was a three-way match that was assigned. So here's who we had. We have Shinichiro Kawamatsu versus Makoto Oishi versus Gorgeous Matsuno. Um, I don't know who I was gonna go for. I mean, it was very interesting, but it was Owashi who picked up the win onto Matsuno to pick up the win and become the 040 champion. However, Matsuno was not too pleased how he lost, but it is what it is. Next up, we have a very interesting match. We have, excuse me, we have Yusuke Okada, Hiroshi Yamato, Toru Owashi, and Akito taking on the Pheromones, all four members. We have, of course, Danshuko Dino, Koju Takeda, Yumehiro Inamari, and of course Yuki Sexy Ino. Now you know how the Pheromones are. They like to play like these dirty mind games where they try to take advantage of the wrestlers by trying to either rape them or whatever. However, they always pick on the general manager every single time. But after the ref realized that enough is enough with the general manager because they were shoving his head to three members of the Pheromones' asses, ref called it no contest. And I feel bad for the general manager. He had to deal with them for a long time, but apparently there's no get rid of them no matter what he does. So I don't know how the Pheromones feel about that, but it is what it is. Next up, we got Antonio Honda. He teams up with Super Sasadango Machine to take on the Wasteland War Party, consistent of Heidi Howitzer, and of course Maxine Baylor. Now during the press conference, Honda and Sasadango got themselves beat up in the middle of the press conference by Max and Heidi, leaving them lying on the ground. I thought this was a pretty good, fun match because what I did like is Antonio was being a lot smarter. Hopefully, this would be effect. Those who don't know, Max the Impaler likes to eat. So he brought in some snacks in hopes that will help him keep her occupied while they focus on Heidi. But you know Heidi will not take this kindly. But there was a moment they had some interesting treats that it would put both Heidi and Max to try to fight each other. It almost worked. It did not until both uh, Super Sasadango Machine and of course and Antonio Honda were laid waste. I thought this was a fun one. I mean, you're trying to bribe Max with treats. This is why I love wrestling because there's some moments I can laugh, some moments I can get excited. I mean, I just love it. All right, let's move on. Our next match, we have an intergender singles match. We have Saki Akai versus Masahiro Takanashi. Now, some of you probably would ask me, why would Saki Akai would challenge Masahiro Takanashi? Well, to be fair, those who are not familiarized with Saki Akai, she's one of the only females that is not afraid to be in the same ring with men. I have seen her what she can do. I mean, I have mad respects for her. I mean, she is a total badass. I mean, she's a cutie. Don't get me wrong, but she knows what she's doing. She's the only one in the roster that actually betrays this whole thing. But be's that one girl who's in DDT, the only female who faces the men. I know she has faced many over time, but I thought it was a very impressive match by her. But she was able to have picked up a win by using a crucifix on Masahiro Takanashi, and it worked. I mean, I'm sure that Chris Brooks was on the side trying to ensure, hopefully, the match ends in Masahiro Takanashi's favor, but it did not because, luckily for her, she has her team Eruption being there. So Saki won, but however, her teammates Eruption were already in the match. Um, Hideki Okatani and in the boss Yukio Sakaguchi, they take on the returning Keigo Nakamura, who was out on injury, but now he's back. He teams up with Harashima. I have seen Keigo Nakamura grow up a lot. He was one of those wrestlers that, he's so pumped, he's ready for a match. But man, the guy has changed. It's not seen this guy for a while because the last I heard he was injured. But now he's now changed. I was like, wow, I like it. This guy really impressed me a lot, Nakamura. But he did play his part pretty well because Harashima was the one who picked up the win when he applied like a knee strike and Okatani giving them the win. I thought it was pretty impressive. And of course, there was a big promo. There was no English translation that was put out. But I can tell that maybe Harashima was really impressed with Nakamura about his return, about how he is. And I say, if I was Harashima, make Keigo Nakamura a member of Disaster Box. I mean, if that was me in Harashima's position, I would put him there. But yeah. So let's move on. Next match we have is Takeda Masada versus Hikaru Mashida. Now, Hikaru Mashida, he looks more like a guy who's kickboxing. You thought it was not going to work out, but it was a pretty good match until Masada applied a Falcon Driver. 1, 2, 3. It's done just like that. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting 6-man tag match. We have Chris Brooks teaming up with Hagane Shino and Drew Parker. They take on the members of Damnation TA, consisting of Kanon, MJ Paul and Daisuke Suzuki. Now you know the Damnation TA, they don't give a damn about the rules and all that. They were used chairs and what not to ensure the win, but it was of course what was it? There was a misfired by both Kanon and MJ Paul when they whacked. No, never mind. It was Sasaki who actually made misfire on both when he whacked MJ Paul and Kanon with the chair by mistake. But unfortunately, that did not work until, of course, Sasaki put Hagen and Shino in a crossface, forcing him to tap. Now, there was a post match promo by Sasaki. Apparently, he wants his next opponent at the biggest event in DDT, and his opponent, and this is for all you New Japan Pro Wrestling fans out there, he actually picked none other than Despy. That's right, El Desperado is his opponent, and this is huge. Um, you probably ask, why would he want? Well, why not? The Zaki acts like he's the bigger star in DDT. That's always been his MO. But I can't wait to see it. Now, our next match, we have the DDT Extreme title. The Extreme title on the line. We have Kotaro Suzuki taking on Jun Akiyama. I thought it was a pretty awesome match between these two. But unfortunately, it was, of course, an inside cradle that put away Suzuki, giving Jun Akiyama to retain the title. I thought it was pretty impressive. But however, in post match, the next challenger stepped up, and that is none other than 37 Kamina's Shumna Katsumata, who requested it. You know, of course, Akiyama will not back down from any challenge, no matter what. Now, our next match, this is something for all you Takeshita fans out there. As you know, for a long time, Konosuke Takeshita has been wanting to have a singles match with the boss himself, Shinjiro Takagi. So this is something that he wanted. However, Takagi didn't want to do it. So he kind of fooled the last time he bumped into Takeshita, tell him he can't do it. He lied because he did the Stone Cold Stunner on him, and it did happen. But you probably would have thought this match was going to end with Takeshita really hurting him. Well, Takeshita won by knockout, and it was over. But Takeshita did say that he wants to have another match with them, but Takagi said there's only one way that's going to happen. And if you guys probably not gonna believe it, the way he believes it's gonna happen, if Takagi get his hands on the KOD openweight title, then they'll have their match. I'm like, good luck with that. So we'll see. Later received a very surprising visit from wrestling legend. We're talking about Kenta Kobashi. I'm sure he's there to enjoy the biggest matches they have there, but it was great seeing him, a legend in the Japanese wrestling scene. So that's good. Now, our next match, we have Yuki Ueno taking on Samurai del Sol, or as you know him back in WWE, known as Kalisto. So it was an impressive match. I was so happy with this match. It was really awesome. I think this is one of my favorite ones, but it ended with Ueno with the Renheim, giving him the win. So I love it. Now, our next match is a title match. It's for the DDT Universal title between the leader of Burning, Tetsuya Endo, taking on Naruki Doi, who originally was in Dragon Gate, but now he's freelancing. I thought this was a very impressive match as well. I just love it because Tetsuya Endo has been one of those wrestlers who has been one of the rising stars, you know. He was the openweight champion for a while until he had to vacate it due to an injury. But getting the Universal title, I have to say it's very good. But he picked up the win when he applied the Shooting Star Press, becoming the Universal Champion. However, soon as he was doing his promo, it appears his next challenger is appearing. This was a very unusual one because the person the challenge is Maho. He became the next challenger. Now, why did I say it was unusual? Because the following match, Maho was in a tag team title match. That's right. Maho and Shumna Katsumata, members of 37 Kamina, in fact, actually are the KOD tag team champions, and they face off against what's their name? The guys from Hari Mao, consistent of this guy named Rota Nakatsu from Pro Wrestling Bizarre, and of course the leader of the group, um, Kazusada Higuchi. This is a false count anywhere match for the titles, so you know how this is gonna go. They're gonna be using everything in their advantage to win. This is exactly in the wheelhouse of 37 Kamina, but unfortunately it was Nakatsu, Nakatsu who ended up being pinned when he was put in a big board after he got powerbomb and of course a somewhat of a suplex by both Katsumata and Maho. I thought that was impressive. But also at the same time at the post match promo, we saw all members of 37 coming in. That includes, of course, none other than one of the rising stars in pro wrestling. We're talking about Konosuke Takeshita. As you guys know, he is a member of the group, so yes, it was great seeing him too. But however, apparently now that there's going to be some new challengers for the KOD tag team titles, and it's none other than, of course, Keigo Nakamura and Harashima. I thought that was very a bold move out of them. So this is going to be a much interesting match. Now our next match, this is a bit of a boss fight, but it's also for the KOD Openweight title. We have Yuki Naya taking on Yuji Ino. Now Yuki Naya is one of those wrestlers that people talk about how he's going to be the one to step up the plate. Now that Konosuke Takeshita, it will be mostly appearing in AEW. That's always been the case. Now these two guys aren't strangers to each other. They have teamed up on various occasions. They've been one of the most unstoppable tag teams, but they went their own ways to follow their own path. I thought it was a very impressive match. I love this. I mean, these two guys would take it all the way. But however, it was Yuji Ino with, of course, pardon my language, with one of his moves that is called fucking bomb. Yes, folks, there is a move that he calls it that way. It's like a power bomb type, where you just have them on the razor edge and then boom, just like that. And of course, Yuji Ino retained the title. He gave a pretty amazing promo, and he showed a lot of respect and love for Yuki Naya. And I'm sure Ino feels that one day Naya will become the KOD Openweight champion, and that is something very special. But however, like always, there's always a new challenger in the rises, and it's none other than Yuki Sexy Ino. That's right, from Pheromones. Now, there is some history between both Hino and Ino. Those two actually know each other pretty well. So this is a very interesting thing that Yuki Ino now is making a play for the KOD Openweight Champion. So we'll see when that matches happen. So hopefully, what's his name, Ino is in fact well prepared because uh, Ino is in fact a very much of a freak, but not like in a bad way, but more like you got to be more careful because you don't want his ass in your face, that sort of thing. So I think that's pretty much it. I can't believe I went almost 20 minutes on this part of the review. So like I said, it was 5 hours. So let's just move on to the next. We gotta believe uh, MLW Underground Wrestling. All right, so let's move on with MLW Underground Wrestling. Now, as I mentioned, there's only two matches, but also they're title matches. The first one is a bit of the, how to say, part two of the never-ending story between Jacob Fatu and Alex Hammerstone. Now, if you guys remember history clearly, Jacob Fatu was the longest reigning MLW champion. And of course, Hammerstone became the much challenger who defeated him. He was more like the hero who was saving MLW from Contra Unit, which was the unit that, of course, Fatu was in. But since the unit has been either disarray or, how do I say, disbanded, however you want to put it, Fatu has been trying to get back in the game to get another shot of the MLW World Heavyweight title. But however, Duran told him that it was impossible due to the fact of Joseph Samael, the leader of country, who we haven't seen for a long time, kind of puts something on the side to ensure he doesn't get it. But now that he's not in the picture, Fatu made the decision to obtain it when he won Battle Riot for the golden ticket. He cashed it in, and finally this match happened. Now, as you can tell, this is more of the long repeated history that we've seen in certain storylines. This one is a pretty good one, in my opinion, where Fatu wants to get back in the game. Since he was free from Contra Unit, now he can do whatever he wants, with family and all that. But, however, he has to face against Hammerstone, who was more like the golden hero of MLW. I thought this match was pretty good. I was like really impressed by the whole thing. The storyline was great. You probably would have thought that Fatu would have won it, but no, they kept going and going until finally Alex Hammerstone applied the Nightmare Pendulum in order to retain the title. But however, Fatu showed him respect, showing that yes, the better man won in this match, but there will be another day where Fatu will get his hands on the MLW World title once again. However, apparently, while the celebration continues and Hammerstone retaining the title, the Ravens group, the Colin or the Flock, whatever he calls it, decided to attack Hammerstone. It was a numbers game. No one came out to help Hammerstone. I don't know why, but it was so bizarre. So I wouldn't be surprised if Raven has someone who will probably be the next challenger to dethrone Hammerstone. Maybe that's the storyline that tells us, but I feel like it's going to be very interesting. Now, we do get a couple of interviews with Sam Laterna, whatever her name is. Anyway, first one is with Mance Warner. As you know, Mance Warner has his issues towards one particular person, Real One. But as you know, Real One thought that he got away with it when Mance Warner was going to jail, but unaware to him that he brought in a couple of his beer drinking buddies, who were talking about the members of Second Gear Crew, one called Manders and Matthew Justice. So they're gonna beat people up and drink some beer. So that's the official statement of the arrival in MLW. Now, the next interview with Sam, she has with Saint Laurent, who is the manager of Microman. Now, Microman is now in a bit of a feud with none other than Real One, or as we know him, Enzo Amore. So basically, he's not going to take this crap from Real One the way he's mistreating Microman. I'm sure the fans would agree that Microman's going to kick his ass, beat him till next week. But that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. And I'm sure we're going to see, what's his name, Lance Dorado probably back him up no matter what. Now, our next match is the MLW World Featherweight Championship. We have Billy Starks versus Tail Valkyrie. Now, Billy said that Tail Valkyrie has always been one of her heroes, but you know the old saying goes, never meet your heroes. But I had a feeling this match was going to be in favor of Tail Valkyrie because, of course, we have and John Hennigan showing up, John Hennigan being there at her corner as always, which it did. Apparently, Hennigan made sure that the match did fall in favor, but it was the road to Valhalla by Tail Valkyrie that, in fact, sealed the deal. But, however, during a post-match interview with Sam, they asked one simple question. Where's Cesar Duran? That's a good question. We don't even know what happened to him. Last we saw he was kidnapped by his own henchmen. So, it's still unclear what's going on there. But hopefully it can unfold. But for now, let's just end it right here and move on with ChocoPro. Alright, ChocoPro started the new season. To me, it was unusual because normally when it started with the new season, Balinaki would be there, but nope. On a note, Balinaki was not at Ichigaya Square for two reasons. One, he went to Thailand because he was participating in the promotion Set Up Pro Wrestling. And then, of course, I heard that he actually had to fly to give a lecture at a wrestling school in his native country of India, which is kind of cool. But however, let's see how things go on without his absence, which they were capable of doing for a while. Of course, made sure to open the show. But however, our opening match we have is Sayaka Obihiro, and of course, a member of the Uma Army. Kojio. They take on Kaori Yonayama and, of course, Masahiro Takanashi. Now, this was an unusual thing because apparently Masahiro was at Thailand as well. He actually presented himself as the setup openweight champion. So it's like, oh, okay, so he has two world championships on his belt collecting. So it's great, but he has to deal with, of course, a member of Uma Army and their associate Sayaka over here. Excuse me. But it was a pretty good, intense match. But they had to be more careful with Koji since he is from the Uma Army. They had to stay away from. They had to keep their distance from him. But luckily, Yonayama was able to pull up the win by applying the Orkana roll on Obihiro. 1, 2, 3 was over. But Obihiro seems disappointed that this happened, but it did. Basically, Yonayama always finds a way to get her wins. Now, our next match, we have Chiko Shikawa take on the leader of Colors. We're talking about Saki. Now, I cannot recall the last time these two ever had a singles match, but I know they had come across each other on certain occasions when it came to being in tag teams. So, but this time I have to say this is going to be a much interesting match because Saki, who is a veteran in the wrestling business, knows what she's doing, but she's dealing with someone who has way too much energy, like Chiko Shikawa. You would have thought every trick that she can think about was going to work, but nope. But in fact, it was Saki who won by a pinfall. I thought it was very impressive from there. Now, our next match, we have an interesting tag team match. We have Chon Chiru teaming up with Shin Suzuki, who says, oh, so now Hagane Shino is our Super Asia champion. So what? So he claims that he probably one day will dethrone him, but however, he has to get through him along with his tag partner, which is unusual because normally he teams up with Chiko Shikawa in the past, who were there known as the Egg Tarts, but this time he teams up with, of course, the Big Apple herself, Mei Shruga. Now, you probably would have thought the same old tricks and all that, but I had to say this was the most intensified match because Hagane is now being targeted. Now, either Shin Suzuki or Chonshiru can choose to pin him to have an opportunity of the Super Asia Championship. Now, of course, Hagane's job is to ensure that he doesn't get that unless someone steps up face to face. But that did not happen because it was Hagane with the submission onto Shin Suzuki. Like, I'm not sure if it's more of an arm submission move that helped him to pick up the win, and Shin has no other choice but to tap. Now for our Jonkin tournament, it was a very intensified one. I was like surprised how the finals came between both Saki and Mei Shiruga. They made it all the way. I was like, dang, that would have been sucked. But Mei Shiruga is back in the game in Jonkin, and she won the chocolate. So I don't know if there's going to be any when the next ChocoPro show will be, but I'm going to presume possibly this weekend. So stand by for that until more announcements. But for now, we'll just end it right here with ChocoPro 301. So let's move on with, I believe we're doing, oh yeah, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. Now, it opened up with the very unusual circumstances that took place. Nick and Matt Jackson were taken by an ambulance to the hospital. They were viciously attacked without us not knowing what's going on. Kenny Omega, who's mostly concerned over their well-being, Don Callis being the weasel that he is, trying to tell him, you got this match with Hijo de Vikingo. So basically, he's trying to tell him to focus on that. But Handman Page opted to be by his side, by their side, so that kind of hit. But however, Tony Schiavone put the most likely suspect, and apparently they decided they probably had this distinct belief that it has to be the Blackpool Combat Club, who's been recently, we know they've been beating up people as soon as their match is over. So that to me seems logical, but we'll just keep going and going. Now, our opening match, we had a bit of a superstar six-man tag match. Team number one, we have our current AEW International Champion, Orange Cassidy, teaming up with Darby Allin and Sting. They take on Kip Sabian, the Butcher and the Blade. I thought this match was really interesting because, as you know, recently, like about a year or two ago, we did see Sting had a bit of an interactive with Orange Cassidy. So it appears Sting decided to take a page out of Orange Cassidy's book. Now, if you guys remember back in All Out 2019, uh, Orange Cassidy was in the match against Pac, and there was a moment where, of course, Orange Cassidy was rolling out. So Sting was using that. So I thought it was very impressive. But there was a moment where, of course, where Orange Cassidy tagged in Sting, but Kip had no idea who was behind him, and then he ended up on at the end of the Scorpion Death Drop, giving him the win and his team. So I thought it was really interesting. I love this one. Now our next match is the AEW World Tag Team titles. We have the pair of brothers. We got the Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin versus the Ass Boys, Austin and Colton. Pretty good match. It was pretty amazing. But however, this match was later changed when the Kingdom, who has their issues towards Top Flight, kind of cost them the match, giving, of course, the Ass Boys the win. And then here comes FTR at the post match. Guns are trying to say that, no one cares about them. So they gave them a little proposition. One that they would say, we'll give you an offer you can refuse. So the offer was, if they want another shot of the tag titles, but under the condition that if the Guns able to defeat them, they'll quit AEW. That was an offer I know for a fact that the Ass Boys will not refuse. They want them gone. They want them out of AEW because they were sick and tired of the attention they were getting. So they decided to do it. But this is a huge gamble coming from both Dax and Cash. So this is going to be interesting how it's going to play out. Now we do get an interview with Renee, along with Jade Cargill, with Layla Gray, and of course Smart Marshall. Now I said this before, guys. When Taya Valkyrie, I knew the moment they were watching her match on Rampage, I knew this was going to happen. Sterling decided to say they are going to send in a cease and desist order that forcing Taya Valkyrie that she's no longer to use the road to Valhalla. Now, is that a wise move? No, because I know for a fact Taya Valkyrie is not going to give a damn what the attorney says. Now, I'm sure Taya Valkyrie is going to say she's been using that move a lot longer than Jade Cargill. But Sterling's like, nope, she's been doing it here because she's the first one. I don't think it matters because I don't think Taya Valkyrie is going to play by anybody's rules, especially if it's a guy like Sterling. So, but Layla did stated that she will give her this cease and desist order personally on Rampage. Well, good luck with that. Now, our next match we have is the the FTW title in a no disqualification match between Stokely Hathaway and Hook. Now, Stokely was trying to be a smartass to try to get out of it, saying he's not medically cleared. Ref didn't believe that and didn't go. And one thing that was crazy is that Hook, instead of getting a table, he got one of those bite racks. And you can see in the corner, that the rest of the firm, like, we never taught him hardcore. It's like, it's okay. He's looking for a weapon. So they're like right there worried. I just love this whole story. It is so great. But it did not end that way. Well, we didn't know that Stokely used a fire extinguisher. It probably might have helped for a while until he ended up at the wrong end of the red rum. But I hope Stokely Hathaway just realized there's no point of messing with Hook. He's not gonna stop no matter what. Now, as you know, we're getting closer and closer to Adam Cole's return. That's right, baby. He's coming back. But someone had to rain on his parade, and that is none other than Daniel Garcia, who he feels that no one cares anymore about him and all that. But because of him, he became his opponent. So basically, Daniel Garcia's biggest mistake was getting in the front, not only in the face of Adam Cole, but putting himself in the position. But the obvious thing is he going to be able to defeat him? Well, we'll see about that. So he got himself in this hot water, so we'll see how he gets out of it next week. Now, Alex Marvez has been trying to see if any news updates with, of course, what with Kenny about his thoughts and what his condition, knowing of that his friends were attacked. But Don Callis is trying to make him focus that that's not important. That the only thing that's important is his match is against Hijo de Vikingo. That's always been the top thing. So basically, that's what matters. Now, our next match, we have Jon Moxley versus Stu Grayson. Now, this was a match that Stu wanted. Now, if you guys remember, long before Stu Grayson made his return to AEW, he did not like what happened with Evil Uno when Moxley refused to let him go out of that chokehold. So Stu wants to get his hands on him. I thought this match was pretty good. It was a pretty good, like a very beat down type of match, but Moxley won by applying an avalanche Death Rider to pick up the win. But however, because Dark Order were right there ringside for Stu Grayson, Moxley made a run for it, knowing that he will not. The thing is, he has been known not to let go of the hold. So basically, luckily for them, they were able to make sure that he does let go or doesn't do anything shenanigans after the match. Now, Ricky Starks, as you know, has been sick and tired of waiting what the answer is going to be with Juice Robinson. Now, Juice Robinson rained on his parade, knowing full well that he lost against him, that he's finally done with Chris Jericho. So basically, he's not giving him a straight answer. It's like, fight me, I'm good with it. If you don't, I'm good. So what is your answer? So that kind of thing. Now, once again, that effing weasel, QT Marshall, decided to make fun of course, Ray Phoenix, but I hate to see what's going to happen next in Rampage against Penta. Apparently, Hobbs decided to put the TNT title on the line. But however, more of Warlow, they mentioned, they said they canceled his credit cards, that he's no longer allowed to travel, that sort of thing. But I wouldn't be passive, because if I was Warlow, I'd definitely get my hands on QT, one way or the other. Our next match, we have Sky Blue versus Toni Storm. You know the advantage with Toni Storm having Saraya and Ruby Soho. That will be a play out that comes in. But, however, the match ended with Toni Storm applying Storm Zero onto Sky Blue. But they were almost on the verge of using the spray paint. But Rio and Will Nightingale show up. Of course, Rio with the lead pipe. And, of course, they got them on the run. Now, in the backstage area, Stu Grayson was being checked up of the injuries he obtained during his match, but the Blackpool Combat Club, who refused to let go of knowing they didn't get the beatdown, they attacked Stu Grayson. So the obvious question is the Blackpool Combat Club responsible for the hellacious attack on the Young Bucks? Most likely, it could be them, but we'll see what happens. But our main event is the main event we've been expecting. Or should I say, this match is one that we have been expecting since December of 2021. Now, if you guys remember clearly, when Hangman Adam Page was the Mega Champion, he was supposed to have a match with Vikingo, but due to the injuries he obtained at Full Gear, it prevented him from doing that. So, basically, this match took place. I thought this match was incredible. I love what Vikingo can do. People probably say, holy shit, the entire time, possibly. I'm like, you probably wouldn't think of it, but it took only a one-winged angel for Kenny Omega to put away Vikingo. But once things were getting calmer, Blackpool Combat Club attacked Kenny Omega. And of course, Hangman Page shows up when he stole an ambulance to get his hands on the Blackpool Combat Club. Don Callis, I don't know what his deal is. It's like he's trying to separate Kenny away from the people around, but we know that Hangman has issues towards the Blackpool Combat Club, but I don't know what Don Callis is trying to do. But if I was the Young Bucks, I pay attention with Don Callis that he's trying to make Kenny, stay away from them. So we'll see what happens then. But we know for sure this thing with the Blackpool Combat Club is not even over just yet. So we'll see what happens on Rampage, and then, of course, the following week on the next Dynamite. So I think we'll end it right here with our reviews and move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have. Now, as you know, we continue more with announcing who will be coming to WrestleCon in LA for the WrestleMania weekend. More Tokyo Pro wrestlers have been announced. We have Maki Ito, everybody's favorite girl. If you guys remember, I mentioned well, here's the ones that we know, like Maki Ito, Ryu Yamashita, um, Arisu Endo, and of course the ring announcer, Sayuri Namba. So they will be there. Now, keep in mind, I did mention in a recent news updates where, of course, Maki Ito, Miyu Yamashita, and Yuka Sakazaki, they have a much bigger price range. When if you want an autograph, that's like an autograph of that's like what $30, and of course, same thing with a photo. But if you want both, it's only 50. Of course, the regular ones like Arisu Indu and Sarui, they have like 20 for either the autograph or photo, or you want the combo, it's like 30 or something like that. So basically, that's what he's saying. So just friendly reminder to everybody. GCW has announced for upcoming events for May. They already have their title names and, of course, the dates and the locations. Well, um, for the one they have one on the 20th of May in Detroit. This one's called The Way I Am. No announcements who's going to be participating, but we will get to that soon enough. Then there's the 21st of May in Columbus, Ohio. I Can't Save You. And then, of course, they return back to Vegas. No name event for this just yet, but this one will be on the what 13th? No, on the 26th of May. My bad. Now, as you know, we're still getting more announcements who will be participating in the first ever Queen of Indies, and that will take place on May 13th. And of course, they announced Billy Starks is in there, so this is going to be a very interesting one. Wrestling Revolver has announced for the Metal for Mayhem event on the 6th of May. Japanese wrestler Shigeru Iri will be there. I can't wait to see that. A match has been announced for the final hour event on next month on the 16th of April. We have Kiki Von Gu taking on Becca. So that's going to be it. If you guys remember this person, Sofia Alonzo, who is the daughter of the late president of CML, Paco Alonso has announced some plans for the future of CMLL, mostly focusing on the women's division, if you guys were aware of that. Let me pull up the ad information in my phone because it was tweeted. Let's see. Okay, so this is what she said, that she wants to continue with CML as plans to follow: a women's third-party championship, a women's full function, women's anniversary, women's Japan, Grand Prix, universal champion, women in executive positions such as programming and CEO reports Amazon coexist. So this is a big plans that she wants to do. Now, I'm not sure she'll be able to do this. Now, if you guys remember a couple years ago, she was removed as the head of the presidency after her father passed away. Her cousins, uncles, whatever members of families decided they came up with this idea that she's trying to make money out of this. Like, you see, the family are not big fans of new things, but Sofia Alonso has a pretty good genius ways of what she wants to do for the company. I mean, cut things that would benefit them, that would put CML back on the map, and I think that's something that they should be thinking about. But hopefully, she can get all of that done. You know, Sofia Alonso, I have to say, she's a genius when it comes to things like that. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have for our news updates. So let's just I believe call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we got Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling, and of course the much recent event by GLEAT. I think this one features the G-Rex title on the line. I'm not sure about the tag titles, but I do know also, for all you Unagi Sayaka fans out there, she makes another match here with Izuki Aoki, where they take on Michiko Miyagi and Yukari Osokawa. I'm so excited for that particular match, and if there's anything else I have No, I'm going to be seeing. It was great. Haven't decided if there's going to be other events I'm going to be doing. There's still some events for this month I haven't checked out yet. There's still another ICW No Holds Barred event, a few others, but I haven't decided just yet. But for now, we'll just stick to what I do announce, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.